Into a real fight wasn't right. Where can she dream here?
It's a special edition. Kind of forget how to work sometimes. One of the best things about this show are our guests, the conversations that we have. And every once in a while, these conversations run over time. We on the pACT channel, we don't have time constraints. We don't have time slots. We don't have any of that. But due to recording limitations and everything else, you know what? We do have things that we can and cannot do. We have a 2-hour limit to where if we want to replay the show, we have to adhere to their procedures. Well, last night we had 2 very special guests. Les Simpson introduced Carol to us, and Carol took and gave us a fantastic show on VA benefits for getting into homes. And we will never, never shut someone down before they get what they need to say out. And so we are doing this show, the pACT Special Edition, because we need to introduce you to one of our newest giving partners who I was lucky enough to interview a couple days ago. Actually, it was yesterday. And I meant to play his show. And actually, I did play the recording after the pACT show. The only problem is I couldn't do all the things like adding in the phone numbers and all this other stuff. So I want to make sure that, email address and all the other information. So I wanted to go through and I wanted to redo this and make sure that that you have all of the information that you need when it comes to Ricky. Okay. And so we are going to do this special episode. We're also bringing back an interview in the second half of the show with Darcia Phillips. And Darcia Phillips is the president of Stop Shaken Baby Syndrome. And this is extremely important to us because right now our daughter is in labor. So we're sitting here a couple hundred miles away, anxiously awaiting. And so I thought I would bring back the importance of, being parents is stressful. Those children, they're not doing anything wrong. They're doing what they know how to do. They're still very young. So, and shaking infants and shaking babies it's not only dangerous, but it can be deadly. We've got a dear friend who helps my wife and I through the pitfalls and everything of the foster world. And she fosters children who have been shaken. And I'm going to tell you something. They're beautiful, beautiful children, but they're damaged. And it's damage that it's never going to go away. It's not going to go away. They're going to have to live with it for the rest of their lives because there was a momentary reaction, violent reaction to something that walking away and taking a breath would have stopped. So again, second half of the show, we're going to be replaying a video with Darcia Phillips. Up in the corner, you will see the QR code. That is a QR code for the chili cook-off and poker for pediatrics. December 3rd, right around the corner. Right around the corner. I mean, days away. And we want to, we're looking for sponsors. We are looking for people to come and join us. We're looking for players. We're looking for cooks. We need you all. And the goal of this event is to get books like this one into the pediatric wards of our Northern Colorado hospitals. What we're doing is we're having people sign the inside of the book. This one happens to be signed by the Goddess of the Grape, Samo's family, and New Heights Homestead. This is going to be from someone in Pennsylvania going to a child in Northern Colorado who is spending time in the hospital, and they are scared and they don't know what's going on. And instead of doing nothing, we're going to be doing something to show them how much we care. So it's a very, very, very simple process. And if you would like to know more about it, and if you would like to take and copy this idea in your hometown, please just reach out to me, because you know what? I will share it and we will help you get it up and running, because there is nothing more fun than our chili cook-off and poker for pediatrics. Joining me now is a partner of mine. I met Ricky a couple weeks ago. We sat down, we had a wonderful conversation. A lot of things are similar. Of course, there's quite a gap in age here, but there's a lot of similarities, and the heart that shows through on Ricky was one of the things that I absolutely loved the most. Ricky started Ricky Birkenstock's coaching, and he is in a very familiar area to me in Fort Collins, Colorado. So I'd like to welcome to the show Ricky Birkenstock. How are you doing, brother?
Thank you, Zach. I'm doing very well, man. It's a pleasure to be here.
You know, you started you started coaching after you realized your life was in trouble with the path that you were going, and you realized that you had so much more to offer people.
Mm, yes, yeah. I think to shine a clearer light on that, it was coaching was a side effect of the transformations that I was creating in my own life. And as you know, Zach, and we'll share with the audience, I was involved with gang activity, drug life, and then I found myself in jail. And so when I found myself in jail, that was really the turning point of my life where I finally took responsibility. And I said, okay, so I created this. And this was, I will freely say, below what I ever thought would be my worst case scenario. So we could say that I smacked my rock bottom. And after smacking that rock bottom and saying, okay, well, if I can create this, then I ought to be able to create something pretty fantastic. And I think I owe that to myself. So after getting my head screwed on straight and living life one step at a time for quite a while, I started to see that there were patterns and there were ways that I was changing my life that I could see benefiting other people. And then I started studying the art of coaching and helping people transform their lives, testing on myself, testing around others, and then getting a more broad approach to impact people and see them take their lives from, maybe not everyone is in that place of a deep level of pain that we understand, but maybe they just want to see some tweaks, some changes in their lives. And change is hard for anyone. So being able to help get that get that change rolling and moving and make it sustainable is something that I do. I take a lot of pride and joy in being able to do.
Let me ask you a question here on something you said. You mentioned that I put myself in this situation. How hard was it to break the thought that I'm in this situation because this is the way that my environment is, instead of, how hard was it to break from being there? Because we know that when we all get in trouble, our first thought is, well, this is what you made me, or this is how I grew up, or this is my situation. To move it to, I put myself here. This is my fault. How difficult was that for you?
That's a great question, Zach. And because I like to lead with I call it a more naked approach. I'll tell you, man, I'm human. So my first reaction was not, hey, I put myself here. My first reaction had, some profanity and some victimhood tied into it. But the realization really encapsulates the idea that life is a combination of choices. At each point, each fork in our road, we can choose left, we could choose right. And life isn't so black and white, but we can simplify it to that. And I had the option to either say, this is not my fault. This is because something unfair was done to me. And I also had the choice to say, well, if I want to be the creator of my life, then I have to start taking responsibility. If I want to see myself empowered, living my best life, I can't sit here and look at other people, because it's my actions that put me in this position. It wasn't theirs. It was just lucky timing that things happened, whatever it was. And it was that choice to empower myself. And sometimes empowering ourselves is a very painful thing, because it does mean taking responsibility. It means this is on me and my future is on me. And once we make that decision, now we can create, now we can move forward.
It was a bad choice. It wasn't a mistake. You didn't make a mistake. You made a choice, and that's one of the things that I try to tell. When I get to talk to like the foster kids and everything, is like, look, when you do something that is not right, that's not a mistake. It's a bad choice. Bad choices are made throughout your life. You're going to make you're going to make choices that are wrong throughout your life. It really depends on you on which ones you make. I mean, there's a difference between, oh, I should have made a left instead of a right. I knew I should have made a left, but I didn't. Or, oh, I'm going to take and swallow these additional pills and nothing's, it won't hurt me. I'm Ironside. What is that message, anything that you try to give to people? Is that one of the messages you try to get across, or am I on a different path here than you are?
Zach, I love the deep wisdoms that come out of you. And the reason I point that out is because you often say something about how you're not a smart man, yet every conversation we have, I sit here saying, you son of a gun, you are brilliant, man, because this is an ancient wisdom. No matter what spiritual background you have, no matter what your belief system, we can all see the relationship of cause and effect. And if we focus on cause and effect, there is no such thing as a mistake. To every action, there is a reaction.
Yeah.
And just like you said, so you choose this route, there will be an outcome. Our thoughts, our beliefs typically lead to our behaviors, and our behaviors will ultimately lead to our results. So that is a model that I teach all the time. And it really shines a light on exactly what you're saying there, that there's no such thing as a mistake. This is a culmination of your choices, of your behaviors and your actions. And every action creates a result.
I'm going to tell you something. We've got a lot of partners that have been coming in lately that that have resonated with me. And the conversations with these partners, such as yourself, has just gotten so much deeper and so much, I really love that we're able to discuss things on a one-on-one level, because of the similarities, but because of the more, the moral path that
Mm,
I think that we find ourselves on. We're going to have our differences. We're definitely going to have our differences. That's not a problem. We don't really focus on differences, which is one of the problems that I see in the world today. Is everybody's focused on the differences, when what we can do is we can sit down and we can focus on reality, the way to fix something, and the best way to come about it. Um, when you approach something, Ricky, what is the first thing that you want to tell them in your coaching? And why don't we start with explain your coaching to people, and then we'll circle back around to what's the first thing that you try to tell somebody when you first start coaching them.
mm. I think there's a great way to meld the two questions into one, because what any of my clients would tell you is, um, there's a general state of misunderstanding when it comes to how to coach, how to affect change, how to help people transform their lives effectively. And a lot of it boils down to, I don't tell someone to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's my mission to share with the person in front of me that all they need is already inside of them. And one of the things that I try to do, or that I do in my coaching, is create a safe space. So within that safe space, everything can be discussed. We can put everything on the table, take all the armor off. And then B, I know how to turn myself into a magnet to pull the greatness out of the person in front of me. And we do that through questions. And that's why the approach looks different with every client, but essentially it's really session after session, powerful questions, deep conversation, shedding light and awareness on certain areas, certain patterns, and gaining that clarity that they need to continue moving forward. And sometimes that's super simple, and other times it gets really deep, and there's traumas brought up, and there's healing to be done. And that's why I never like to that's why I call it deep coaching, because it's kind of like, if I've never done this myself, but I imagine it's kind of like scuba diving, where you find a new place to go diving, and you find new things down there.
Yeah.
And maybe sometimes you find the treasure closer to the top, and other times you have to go deeper. And there's no right or wrong to that. It's every process is unique, each session is unique. So I guess I could call myself a professional, emotional, mental life diver. And I take my clients along that journey with me. We're on that together.
I like that, because using the diving metaphor, you change your coaching with the person, because not only can you maybe find the treasure up top, who's to say what someone's going to find as the treasure? Maybe someone's going to seeing their first ever, their first ever blue coral is their treasure. That's what they wanted to see. Or maybe, the tuna is the first, that's what they wanted to see. That's their treasure
Mm,
in life. It doesn't always have to be gold. It doesn't always have to be silver ingots. It can be something so much deeper. And so, but you do make sure that you individualize. It's not all, you're not going to sit in a room with 30,000 people and tell everyone this is how you do it, right? It's got to be
that's
different. It's got to be, because you know what? In those 30,000 people, you're not going to have 30,000 successes if they
mm,
follow your way, because
mm,
you've got 30,000 different people with different goals, with different abilities, with different, it's difference. We we can't treat everyone the same. Everyone has got to be treated individually. And because every single one of us is individual, right?
mhm,
So when what is the most important thing that people need to know?
mm. I love that question, because If let's transpose ourselves in front of, say, 1 million people right now. There is no one, you could say, panacea cure for everything, but there are principles. And the number one principle I want any listener to know is that the answers already lie within them. They are the key. They are the one that they've been looking for. And the beautiful fact underlying all this individuality, all this uniqueness, the power that exists within each human being is them being themselves. Zach, the world needs Zach Clayton to be Zach Clayton, not Zach to be Ricky. If I'm sitting here trying to reprogram you into me, we're not doing anybody any good. But to help you become more of yourself, to bring your authenticity, your gifts to the surface and learn how to live into those, oh, there's nothing more beautiful than that. And
Thank
that
God,
is,
I'd have a lot of work to do just body style to get to be a Ricky, you know, because you're shaped with hard work and dedication. I'm shaped with donuts. So, look, again, that's where you and we can talk. I swear to God, we could probably talk every day for hours, and never talk about the same thing twice, because there is, I love the fact that the individual is something that's so important to me, because I think, and of course this is my own opinion, but I think anybody trying to be someone else, like you just said, I think that's dangerous, because you're not someone else. You need to find your own way. You need to use your own brain. I used to think that one of the greatest gifts God ever gave us was our own opinion. Now I'm kind of worried about that at certain times, but I'll change that. The greatest thing that God ever gave us was our own ability to make our own decisions. And look, we can do, there's not a single person out there who can't do miraculous things. And you just, like you said, you have to find it. You have to be true to you, because you can't be true to someone else if you're not true to yourself, right? What is the first, I guess what I want to know is, what was the first question you asked yourself when you were in that defining moment? What was that first question you said, okay, Ricky, blank? What was that question?
I love to share this question because whether it was some form of, well, I guess if I'm going to tell other people that the answers lie within them, then I should share how the answer was within me. So it's not fair to say I don't know where it came from. The question just kind of bubbled up through those of us who know, every person knows pain. So when you're in that deep place of pain, and that there's like this dark void that lives in your center, and it feels all consuming. If we stop running away from that and we allow this feeling to shed a light on something, the light that this feeling shed was on the question that said, does this serve me? And this question has such a massive ripple effect. And my first focus was actually, it was something that came so naturally to apply it to the way I thought. I just started applying it to my thinking, to my beliefs. I'd think something, it'd get me all worked up, because I was in this cycle of, I had been, we talked about this, Zach, being diagnosed with depression at early ages and put on antidepressants. And I hope you don't mind me sharing that. I'm sure you shared
no,
it.
please do, please.
But it's such a disempowering thing to have that happen to you. And then we all take these thoughts, these beliefs into our adulthood and the way we live our lives, whether they're our parents' beliefs or our friends or at this point in time, any number of social media influencers. Uh, why do I think this way? Why do I believe this way? Boils down to, does this serve me? It doesn't really matter if it does serve you. If it makes your life better, if it helps you improve the lives of other people, I don't care where it comes from. But where I was, almost everything in my life did not serve me. So it was a very simple question of, does this serve me? No. Well, then how can I change this? How can I reframe this? How can I shift this, transform it into something that does serve me?
You know, I wonder, I wonder, you were in a, as you mentioned before, you were in a position where drugs were a huge part of what you were doing. And you know, with drugs comes a lot of money. How was it that you said to yourself, you know what, this is something that serves me great right now financially, but this isn't you know, and I say this knowing that a a young man that I have cared for a long time.
Mm,
Um, after I mean, and we lost contact quite a while ago, and one of his goals in life, I found out later in life, one of his goals in life was to be the American version of one of the drug kingpins, you know, and it's like, oh my God, what happened there, you know? And how was it that you decided, okay, look, this may serve me, you know, great financially now, but is financial everything? One, and two, this can't last. It ain't gonna last. This isn't, you know, and because we know, and this is another thing that I'm a little unclear on how you made that decision, because we know that a lot of times these young kids today see that prison sentence almost as a badge of honor sometimes. You know, they see it as their education even.
mm,
How do we get them to make the step that you made? What do we need to do as adults who care? I'm not saying as a general public, because they don't give a damn about the general public. How do we change their mind about adults who care about them? They are our first responsibility.
mm. This is a very powerful question, Zach. The There is no one answer. This is complex. So as we talk about from the beginning of this interview to now, an individual by individual basis is definitely important. Just showing people that you care, that you're there, that you're open to listening, and asking them these questions. So principally, what I would say is leading by example is one of the best things you can absolutely do. A lot of us were raised in environments where people live with a martyr syndrome, which is where, like, yes, this is so hard, and yes, everything I do is so hard, but it gives you some sense of righteousness. And no kid wants to see that. And that's no way to live your life either. I mean,
Yeah.
um, we we all find role models, and we all find things to look up to. I understand that way of thinking very deeply. My role models from the beginning were rappers, and that's why I was living my life the way I was. I thought it was awesome, and then there was a degree of some sort of twisted pride that came from being able to say that I had been locked up. And that question of, does this serve me, runs so deeply that if one really gives themselves the time to ask this question, you can see why you want this thing. I mean, is it really going to make your life better and the lives around you? Why do you have this desire to do this thing? So creating the space to ask the powerful questions and to ask these kids, why do you feel this way? Where does this come from? And then to teach them, because it was a revolutionary thought to me when I first said to myself, I can create my life. I do create my life. Kids need to know that. I mean, they're these beautiful, clean slates that can choose to, and I'm going to say this because I believe this deeply, that whether or not you choose to, we are all brainwashing ourselves. The books we read, the media we watch, what we consume, we're feeding our brains. We all have a mental diet. And if you take a child and you put them in an environment where they're given the mental diet of empowerment, and empowerment is it's not a thing, it's not a tool. Empowerment is a feeling. And it's a feeling that is a result of getting the tools, the support, and the general guidance and vision necessary to succeed. We give children these resources, oh my gosh, and show them that there are results that come from this. If we can tie the cause and effect principle into a child's mind where they understand what I do has results. I want this outcome. For me, I wanted, there's a type of Rolex that uses a meteorite as the disc, as the dial. And I used to always say, I want a meteor on my wrist. Like that would be awesome. And I want a Ferrari. And have you ever sat in a Ferrari, Zach?
Oh no, I couldn't fit in a Ferrari if I tried. I I tried to sit in a PT Cruiser at one point in time, and I had to. I seriously looked like Fred Flintstone and Dino, where I had to open the sunroof because my head was like way the hell up here. I mean, it did. I looked like this when I was driving. I had to like lean down to see the. No, I couldn't. Oh man, I would feel like I was falling for a week to fit inside of a Ferrari. So, but
Okay, well, beautiful answer, man, because the point is it's a race car.
yeah,
It's not comfortable. This is not a luxury vehicle.
right.
So, like, why do you want this thing? So, um, here's the point. Jim Rohn gave a great talk decades ago about how to speak to a child. And he said, you have to be able to speak the child's language. So if we can take the time to understand the things that they look up to, the things that they're interested in, and then help them see what is it about this that you really want? Is it the money? Is it the fame? Because you can do that. I didn't know this. You could do this legally. Online business models. You can do it legally, go to sleep without a single fear in your mind every night. Oh my gosh, it's so freeing. And what most of us want is freedom. And to be able to speak their language and help them realize what they want, that's powerful.
You know what's amazing to me, and little, I mean, the a little story behind one of the reasons why you are such an impact in my life is that I made a terrible decision to because it would allow me to drink. I was still allowed to drink. So I made a decision. I'm like going, and the question is okay, I'll accept this offer. Well, can I still drink? Yeah, but we can get you a better offer. I can still drink. I don't care. It
Mm.
ruined a good portion of my life. Okay. Here is the thing that I think that we need to get across to young individuals. Okay. Think about your most outrageous dream. I mean, just the most outrageous dream. You just said it. Okay. Your Ferrari, all this other thing. Think about it. And now take the first step and start to plan out how you think you could do that in a legal way or just, but here's the way to do it. Be imaginative about it, because you know what? If you're not going to come at this with that personality, if you're going to come at it with a cookie cutter, you're going to be cookie cutter. So put some you into it. You've taken the first step to changing your life and doing something outrageously special. And when I mean special, Ricky and I are both coming from a point where we were both in trouble with the law, with the family, with everything. We were in trouble. Have we got it all figured out? No, and neither one of us will tell you that we've got it all figured out. But we are telling you right now it can be done.
Mm.
The quicker you do it, the more you get to enjoy life. Okay. You need help, contact us. We'll talk to you. And the one thing that I am going to tell you right now, and I'm pretty sure, Ricky, you'll back me up on this. We're not going to give you how to do it. We're not going to give you the blueprints on how to do it, because that's up to you. Our blueprints to do things are how we do it. How we do it is not always going to work for you. Okay. I tell people all the time, Ricky, that when I talk to individuals with head injuries, I'll never tell them I know what you're going through, because I don't know what they're going through. I've got a head injury. I am vaguely familiar with what has happened with some of the stuff that they're going through, but I will never tell somebody I know what they're going through, because I don't know. My life is different than theirs. My experiences have been different than theirs. So for me to tell you I know exactly what you're going through is naive, stupid. And I shouldn't use that word, but it is. It's stupid. And it makes you untrustworthy. Because if you tell somebody you know exactly what they're going through, they're going to sit there. Look, there's nothing that makes me blow you off quicker than, oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. No, you don't. No, you don't. And we can't. That's because we're individual people. You coach people in a variety of different areas, but it's all about health improvement, or it's all about improvement, life improvement. You help. Why don't you give us like a list, rundown on what all you want to coach people on it?
Sure. So I call myself a life quality engineer, because at the end of the day, I believe what everyone wants is just a higher quality of life. And um, to do this, what I do is I focus on what I call the 5 dimensions of life quality. And there are more dimensions than this, but I also have a core pillar that says, let's simplify everything. So we've got 5. So that's the physical dimension, the mental dimension, that's mindset, emotions, trauma, things of that nature, the relationship dimension, the financial dimension, and the spiritual dimension. And we don't work on all of them at once. The whole point is that it's holistic and there's always a ripple effect. So as you see the improvements in one, you ultimately see the improvements in the others. And being more progress focused is a great way to break any self-sabotage patterns, hard thinking on oneself, like I should be here. If we find ourselves shoulding ourselves, we probably need to talk to someone. So there is no shoulding. It's, wow, look how far I've come. And if you stay focused enough on your progress, you won't even believe where you end up. I mean, just like what you're saying, Zach, there is no one set framework or blueprint, but we can help people create their own. And once you create your own and you stay focused on that progress, oh my gosh. I mean, where I'm at today, I would have never guessed 10 years ago. I would have thought you were crazy, mostly because 10 years ago, I thought I'd be dead by now. But it's also far, far better than my dreams ever were. So, yeah, that's
I think one of the important messages there are don't should all over yourself. So,
that's right.
I really, I wanted to say that after you were talking. Ricky, you're part of the community pay it forward program. Oh, and one more thing I wanted to add to that. You have to remember, I think is never going to be as strong as I need.
Mm.
I think I want to quit smoking. That gives you an out.
Mm.
Look, I'm going to quit smoking. You have no out. There's no out there. I'm going to do it. I think I want to improve my life. I'm going to improve my life. So, those are just a couple things that, you've little mindsets little mindsets can lead to huge improvements.
Absolutely.
So, and you know, sitting pat is not conducive for success either. You know, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Zuckerberg, they don't sit still. They change things all the time, all the time. Not always for the best. I mean, but they do. You can find Ricky's page on communitypayupforward.us/Ricky slash or comma Birkenstock. So just go there, and this video is actually going to be on this page later on today. And actually, by the time that people are watching this video, it's already going to be there. So go there now, and you can see the difference. But Ricky, you've also got a landing page that you are about ready to lease, correct?
Yes, sir. So rickybirkenstock.com will be live here in the next week or two. And so if anybody's listening to this at a later point in time when this interview gets run again, it's probably live already. So feel free to give rickybirkenstock.com a search. And you can also find me on LinkedIn, where I'm at currently. So just search my name and you'll see it loud and clear. It says Life Quality Engineer.
And again, all you have to do is go to communitypayupforward.us/Ricky Birkenstock, or up in the search bar, just put in Ricky and Ricky's going to pop up. Ricky, how do people reach out to you, my brother?
So people can reach out to me at my email, and my email is really simple, ricky.birkenstock@gmail.com. And I can also be reached at LinkedIn. I'd love to give out my phone number, but I teach and recommend having strong boundaries. So that is a boundary we'll cross when we have a personal relationship. So
All right.
right now, LinkedIn, email, please feel free to get in touch with me. I'll get back as soon as I can.
I'm really glad you said that. That means that we need to change something on your landing page on our website. We've got your phone number on there. So I'll get that changed right away. So
okay, thank you.
But Ricky, on a personal note, man, I love you. Haven't known you for a long time, but I've known you for a great time. I love you. I really do. You've added so much to me personally, outside of business, and you joining with what we do. I see us working together as nothing but good can happen with this. You're a powerful individual. Your story means so much to not just you but other people. I think that your story is there, and it's proof that, you know what, I don't have to live this because my environment told me this is where I live. You, my friend, are inspirational, and I love you, man. I really do. And I thank you for being one of our giving partners. And I look forward to a long relationship. You and I are in cahoots in the good way. And we're going to be putting together a couple things, and we're going to be sharing and trying to help out individuals in probably in a podcast form. And we're going to be doing some stuff together. Hopefully, we're going to be doing some public things, meeting people in public, and really trying to strengthen and supporting youth and just people who want to make a difference. So I really look forward to everything that we're going to be doing together, my brother.
Awesome, Zach. The sentiment is mutual, man. I love you, and the fact that you are so open and willing to talk about your story and what you're doing. I mean, that's why I aligned with you, man. You lead with your heart, and all my life experiences have gone to give me at least one thing, and that's a pretty darn good gauge of character. And I love to align with passionate people, and you, sir, are someone who leads with passion, and that is going to change lives and this community. So thank you for what you do, man.
No, that's not a problem. Once again, you can get a hold of Ricky at ricky.birkenstock@gmail.com, ricky.birkenstock@gmail.com, or you can find him. Is it just Ricky Birkenstock on LinkedIn?
That's my name. That's
All
what you
right. That's not Borkenstick or whatever I was joking before we went live, so, but Ricky, again, I love you, man. Welcome to the family. I am so glad to have you as an ally, as a partner, and as a family member. So I am really looking forward to making a difference with you. I think it's something that we're going to be able to do some fantastic things together. So if you want to get a hold of us, if you have any questions, and for anybody out there, if your life is in a difficult situation and you just want to talk to somebody and get not the answers, but maybe just get the questions to somebody that you can trust. This man right here, myself, look, we're just here to help. That's it. So contact Ricky at ricky.birkenstock@gmail.com, or you can always get a hold of me right here at communitypayitforward.us. Ricky, thank you.
Thank you, Zach.
Again, that was Ricky Birkenstock, brand new partner. Look, you guys heard the story. These are the kind of things that I was talking about when I first came on, and that's one of the reasons why we have these special editions and the PACT shorts and stuff like that, because our guests are, I mean, they're so impactful, they're so important, and they mean so much to so many people. So, check out Ricky, see what he does. Give him a call, or I guess give him an email. Since he wasn't ready for you to give him a call yet. I like his idea on, let's build a personal relationship before we do anything else. Once again, my name is Zach. This is a PACT special edition. We're doing this because the show went a little bit long last night, and I will never tell a guest you need to stop talking because we've got to move on to something else. Not until we're on a regular TV channel where they can tell me to do that. Until then, when people have something to say, we're going to let them say it. And I would sit through the PowerPoint that was given last night 100 times because I know that there are things that I missed, and I'm gonna implore any of my veteran friends, go back and watch last night's PACT show. Les brought on Carol, and Carol took it to the bank. I mean, helping you take it to the bank to get into a new home. So, coming up right after this one video that you've already seen, but it's really important because, again, coming up on December 3rd, which is the 6th Chili Cook-Off and Poker for Pediatrics. And of course, we run into this problem every once in a while, and you guys know we do. And I apologize for that. The video sat for a little bit too long, and so it needed to reboot. But here we go. Once again, this is Darcia Phillips with Stop Shaking Baby Syndrome. How are you doing? We've got our great friend Darcia Phillips from Stop Shaking Baby Syndrome joining us again on the November wine event. How are you doing, Darcia?
I'm doing good. How are you, Zach?
Doing great, doing great. You're in the eastern part of the country. Have you guys got any of that snow? We know that, of course, like Buffalo and other places they're under about 6 foot of snow. So we mentioned earlier our best wishes to them. But have you guys had any of that?
No, the other day we did get a light dusting. I don't think in my area it didn't amount to even an inch. So I'm grateful for that. Snow is not my friend.
Yeah. You know what?
Sure,
You got about the same snow we got. Yeah. Yeah. You got about the same snow that we got. So, but, it's kind of funny. Everybody thinks, Colorado, we're going to be buried in snow. We don't usually get a
No.
whole lot. The mountains get it. And the mountains kind of take and they filter over us because we're so close to the mountains. And then further east in Colorado, they just get demolished, and then Kansas gets hit and everything else. But yeah, here in Greeley, we kind of get protected by the mountains. So, and I'm like you, snow's not my friend. I don't put sticks on my feet. I can barely walk in my big shoes. So, my clown shoes are close enough to being skis. But so, okay, well, Darcia, let's go on ahead and get this started. Can you tell us, for those who were not able to join us, the first show, can you tell us about Stop Shaking Baby Syndrome? How did this start?
This started back in 2009. I wasn't a part of it back then. And basically what it was is our founder learned about a case of a child who was shaken and killed, and then she wanted to help. So she started it back in 2009, and it's been running ever since. What we do is we try to help the families who are affected, of course. We've done a lot of things in the past, and we're hoping to do a lot more in the future. Currently, we have programs that are directly for the survivors, and that we're also working on education programs and the whole bit. So we're trying. We're getting there.
You mentioned that you mentioned that you guys have stuff that you want to do, but you're not able to do yet. What are some of those things? Because I know that it's not, this is really one of those things that you guys try to help with medical equipment and even stuff such as mental health for the parent, correct? I mean,
Yeah.
what all do you guys try to provide?
Well, right now we have support groups on Facebook, which really takes care of the mental health aspect, because it's only the people who are directly affected, those who have lost children, or those who are foster parents or adoptive parents, or even the biological parents themselves can join. And nothing is taboo. We talk about everything. We talk about problems with the case management, the investigation process, family relationships, everything goes on in the support groups. We also talk about how to get services for the parents, for the children, and how to best support not only the child, but the families themselves with everything that goes on, because it's very taxing for some people to be the sole provider for the child while they have a spouse or significant other working outside the home, or they're the only provider. It's a lot. And that so the support group kind of takes care of all that. We also do, if people request it, we'll actually get on the phone with them, or a Zoom meeting or Skype or whatever, to talk to them. I was actually on the phone over the weekend with a mother who lost her child this past week. So I talked to her for quite a while. It's not uncommon for us to do that. And that when outside of offering just emotional support, we do have our programs, like the currently going on now is our apparel for iPad, which we sell apparel, and the money we raise from that, we go ahead and we purchase Apple iPads and protective cases, and we send them out to the survivors. These iPads will help them with lots of things, from therapy to educational to speech, you name it, you can work it with an iPad. I also have the Switch It Up program, which takes toys and adapts them for children to play with a Switch, which is basically, you take like a stuffed animal that like you push the hand and it sings and dances, and that, well, most survivors don't have the hand control to press that little button. So we make it so that there's a bigger button that they can press and they can get the toy to play. As far as the educational aspect goes, we have the Sweet Pea Project, which is sending out bags to new parents with hats and educational material. I also do educational classes to schools. which we do. I think the last time I did it was a Skype or Zoom conference, and I provided them with a slideshow and did some Q&A and the whole bit, talked to the kids about it. So we did that. What we would like to do is offer more the bigger stuff, like helping the families fundraise for things like wheelchair accessible vehicles. We'll actually get on the phone with them or a Zoom meeting or Skype or whatever to talk to them. I was actually on the phone over the weekend with a mother who lost her child this past week. So I talked to her for quite a while. It's not uncommon for us to do that. And that when outside of offering just emotional support, we do have our programs like the currently going on now is our apparel for iPad, which we sell apparel, and the money we raise from that, we go ahead and we purchase Apple iPads and protective cases, and we send them out to the survivors. These iPads will help them with lots of things from therapy to educational to speech, you name it, you can work it with an iPad. I also have the Switch It Up program, which takes toys and adapts them for children to play with a Switch, which is basically you take like a stuffed animal that like you push the hand and it sings and dances, and that well, most survivors don't have the hand control to press that little button. So we make it so that there's a bigger button that they can press and they can get the toy to play. As far as the educational aspect goes, we have the Sweet Pea Project, which is sending out bags to new parents with hats and educational material. I also do educational classes to schools, which we do. I think the last time I did it was a Skype or Zoom conference, and I provided them with a slideshow and did some Q&A and the whole bit, talked to the kids about it. So we did that. What we would like to do is offer more the bigger stuff, like helping the families fundraise for things like wheelchair accessible vehicles, for equipment inside the house, like a lift, or remodels for therapy rooms or bathrooms, things like that, just to make the day-to-day life easier for the parents and the child themselves. We aren't at that point yet to be able to do that. We're hoping that we can get bigger and more funding and even grants to help us with that. But we're doing what we can on the small scale currently.
You guys also have a shirt in which I'm showing some of the shirts that are that you guys have available, but you guys also have a shirt that is very, very, very important, and it's got a list of I believe you call it the Angel.
Yes, our bonfire shirts. That's currently our apparel for iPads. On the front of our shirt this year, we have a scroll that lists think last count was 200 names of surviving victims. And then it says shaken baby syndrome is not only is unnecessary child abuse, it's also wrong. And then on the back, we have an angel, and that represents 40 children who have lost their lives due to complications of shaken baby. Some of those children died immediately after injury, and some of them lived to be 5 years old, 7 years old. Some were adults, but they ultimately died as a direct result of being shaken. And all the money that we raise from that sale will go to purchase iPads for survivors.
Okay. What is your advice? Because what you just said, what we just talked about on the babies dying is something that this isn't a scare tactic. This is a realism. Shaking a baby can be the death of your child.
Correct.
Is there one of the questions that somebody asked me is there a group of people that are more than are there a group of people that is more apt to shake their baby financially, racially? Is there anything? Are there any group of people that they're more apt to shaken baby syndrome?
There's no demographic that shows us that there's any significance as far as race, religion, sex, financial status that will be more prominent to being a victim of shaken baby. In our cases, within our own support groups, we have seen it be as political officials, congressmen have had their children that were shaken. There was a case where the child was actually shaken in the hospital. The baby was only 12 hours old. So there's really no rhyme to reason to it. The only thing that we have noticed within the stats is that, and it's only a very small margin of difference, is that it's more male offenders than female offenders.
Yeah.
But that's a very small margin of difference. So it can really be anybody.
Is the reason it's male, in your opinion? I mean, this is actually one of those questions where it's got to be your opinion, because there's probably not a lot of scientific fact behind it. But do you think it's more male because the men don't carry the child, so they don't have that same connection? Is in your thoughts, is this one of the reasons why there are more men? Like you said, there's not a huge split, but
There's not. I think it all depends. I know in my own experience that it doesn't seem to make a difference who you are. It's more what your patience level is. I know I've seen some men that have patience of a saint that can handle a lot of crying and, just difficult behaviors. And then I've seen some women that have that same patience level, but then on the flip side, they don't. So I think for stat aspect in that, I think the reason we see it being more men that cause this is because men, the general consensus is that men are the hunter-gatherers of society, and that so they have to be the ones in control all the time. And when you have a child that is being difficult, crying or whining, or you can't figure out what they want or what they need, they kind of lose it a little bit more quickly, and they don't realize what they're doing. So they will try to pacify the child and think, okay, if I just do this, the baby will stop crying. When in reality, normally it makes the baby cry more. And then they don't know what to do, and they just literally lose every ounce of control they have. And then it's too late.
what is your suggestion to prevent shaken baby?
I always say, if your child is crying, and people say, there's no way you can do it. I was like, if your child is crying, take your child, put your child in the crib. The crib, pack and play, playpen, whatever you want to call it, is often very secure. There's nothing in there. Make sure you don't have any pillows or blankets or stuffed animals, you know, in the crib, and just put them down, lay them down. And then if you have to, close the door, walk away, take a breather, sit outside the door if you want, have a coffee, you know, make yourself tea, whatever it takes. And then after a couple minutes, if you get yourself collected, walk in, see if the child's still crying. If the child's still crying and you don't feel like you can do this, okay, the baby's not in any danger. You can see that you're still in the crib. There's nothing they could get hurt on. Turn around, walk right back out. Do the same thing again. If after 10 minutes or so you're still feeling like you can't do this, I want you to go back in, check on the baby as many times as you have to make sure that baby's okay. But then pick up your phone, call your doctor's office, call your mom, call your grandmother, call your neighbor, your friend, whoever you could think of to call, and say, listen, I'm here with this child. They're crying. I don't know what's wrong. I've tried all these things and the baby's still crying. What do I do? And if you can't get anybody on the phone, take the baby, put the baby in a car seat, get in the car and drive to the nearest doctor or hospital and say, I'm frustrated. I don't know what to do. The baby has been crying for a long period of time. I don't know what's wrong. Help me. If you ask a medical professional or even just anybody, say, I need help, they will help you. They will help you to figure out what's wrong with the baby. And nobody is going to fault you for saying, I need help. It's very important to just let the baby be. And then ask for the help.
You know, one of the things that I found out as being a dad is generally when I put the child in a car seat, that was the quickest way to get him to sleep. And
yes,
and the one thing that we have to say this, and look, a lot of times shaken baby is not intentional. It strikes and it happens. But even the smallest jolt, the head, you got to remember that a head injury, and this is coming from somebody who deals with the head injury. Head injuries are not like anything else. You break an arm, you put a cast on it, it's going to heal. Head injuries are not like that.
And it's
one person's head injury is nothing to somebody else, but it's death to someone else. So
yes,
you were going to say something?
It's important to remember with infants, especially, their heads aren't developed yet. Their neck muscles aren't there. And that's what happens is when you shake a child, you pick them up by the rib cage, more or less, and you shake them back and forth, their head bounces back and forth in the skull, which is what causes the bleeding, because the brain is so soft and pliable, which is going to cause irreparable damage. And while the brain is a lot of things, and there's so much that we don't understand about it, there's a lot that we do understand. And it doesn't take a lot to understand that it's really not a good ratio as to whether or not you're going to be 100% okay, even from just a little jolt. You're going to have some kind of injury. You're going to have some kind of damage. That's why it's always best to just say, okay, I have to put you down or I have to walk away.
One of the things that I really wanted to share off of your website is this page, What is Shaken Baby Syndrome? And the reason I wanted to share this is because if you look on here, each one says primarily the same thing, but each of these institutions have a different way of stating what it is. You know, there are so many, different aspects of so many different, first off, great organizations on here: Mayo Clinic, National Institute for Neurology Disorders, and strokes. That one is, personal to me, again, because I have the head injury in my, but I mean, there are so many things that you can look on here. If you don't understand what shaken baby is, maybe you don't know exactly how to respond to it, or even if you're doing something wrong. So go here and check it out. One of the other questions is there anything that you guys need, supplies, equipment, stuff like that, other than monetary? Is there anything else that you guys need right now that people can get to you?
I have several wish lists, if you would, that I have on like Amazon. I have them on Target, Walmart, and things like that we can take like in-kind donations. What we look for is, right now what we're doing is a lot of things for like therapeutic, but play therapy. I take a lot of toy donations, which I end up getting the toys, like I said, adapted for switches. I actually have a local school to me that teenage boys, they're normally juniors and seniors, will adapt the toys for me. And I take anywhere between 10 to 15 toys up every 2 to 4 weeks, and they go through and they adapt them. For our outreach efforts, we are always looking for people who can knit or crochet infant and baby hats. And that's real help, because that goes into our bags that we send out to the hospitals and resources like that for new parents. We give them a small little gift for their infants. We're always looking for new ideas if people have them as to what they can do or offer. I got in a lot of book donations this year. Some of the books are touch and feel, and that some of them deal with things like feeding tubes or speech delays and things like that. So those are things that will go out into the community for people to read and share with those in their community to help them understand the survivor. And that, so there's a lot of different ways people can help and do things like that. I've never been opposed to trying new things, and that, so if somebody has an idea or just something that they aren't sure of, but they think might help, and they want to just reach out to us, that's fine too. Otherwise, my best thing to do is to look at the big websites. Like I said, Amazon, we have, if you type in Stop Shaking Baby Syndrome, you will see the wish list that we have for there. And anything that is donated to us goes right back into the community, whether it's monetary or if it's an actual item. It will go right back into the community. Most of the time it goes into the survivors or education is what we use it for.
What do we do if we hear about a parent that's in distress? Are there any resources to them? Are there any resources to us as a concerned individual? Are there any resources that we can go to?
If you have immediate concern that a child is in immediate danger, I always say to call Childline or your local children's agency for protection and let them know. Most of the time they will investigate, and if it's not something that they feel is an immediate threat that they need to remove the child, they will offer services. They will offer counseling. They will offer, support services that way. Sometimes they will take the children. It could be a short period of time that they take the children, or it could actually be a situation where they have to take custody and they need to do it now to protect the child. Those cases get a little bit more tricky as to whether or not the parents will get the children back. It all depends. It takes 2, sometimes 3 years for that to play out. I always say, though, when in doubt, make the call, because you could very likely save a child's life. If you don't know how to get in touch with Child Protective Services in your area, call the cops and tell them, because if they investigate, which they should, and they see the problem and they feel it's a viable threat, they will call the local Child Protective Services and they will get those children taken out of the house immediately. As far as what you can do to help somebody, just be there for them. Be the ear. If they say, I just need a break, okay, give them that break. It could be simple as you bringing them a cup of coffee and saying, okay, I'm going to sit with the kids for a couple minutes. Why don't you go take a shower? Why don't you go running this errand? Whatever it is, those couple minutes could make a lifetime of difference. Don't be afraid to offer the help. Don't be afraid to say, okay, I don't know anything about what you're going through, but I'm here. Let me take a turn. Let me just sit with the kids so you can walk away and do what you have to do to get your head on straight, to give you a mental break. That will be a big help too.
Are there any resources, and you and I talked about this the first time that I met you, which was our very first podcast, as a matter of fact. Are there any resources for new parents? Or is there anything, for first time parents, for somebody who, look, this is the best journey you're ever going to take, but it is not an easy one. And especially when you add, a little baby that, guess what? They're going to cry. That's how they communicate. When you're not used to it and that happens, you're kind of like, oh my God. And of course, the first thing is, what am I doing wrong? Or what the hell is wrong with you? What are there any resources that like new parents should seek out?
I think resources, this all depends on where you're located, because there's so many places that will do education for shaken baby in the hospital every time a child is born. And there are other places where it's only when you have your first child. And then there's places where they don't do anything at all. I know in my experience that when a person where I live has a child, they will bring in literature on what shaken baby is. And there might be a video for you to watch the first time you have a child. And they will leave the stuff with you and say, okay, watch this, read this. When I come back in, I'll ask if you watched it and sign off on it. They don't sit there with you to make sure that you actually did it. They don't ask you any questions about it. It's just like, okay, we have to present this to you. If you do it, you don't. That kind of thing. There are other places where they actually take the initiative to do more with you and get you to actually understand it. I think what we need to have, kind of like you have the availability of taking a Lamaze class. I think what we need is to have somebody that goes in and says, okay, this is going to be a quick parenting 101.
Did I lose you?
Okay, we're there. We need somebody that does a parenting 101, saying okay, this is what to expect with the baby. And that these are the things that you could do. These are places where you can reach out to get help, because it varies so much by where you live. And that I always tell people that a good source of information is to look to your doctor, your medical professional. They will know where you can get local help. There are some agencies within the maternal and family health services that will be able to say, okay, we have in-person meetings every Tuesday that you can come to and you can discuss what's going on with the baby. Some libraries offer mom and talk classes or parent and talk classes where you can just come in, be around people who have the same situation as you do. They have a young child. You talk with them, you read stories, whatever, you just connect with them. I think what you have to do, though, is unfortunately you have to do a lot of the research on your own based on where you live. And you have to figure out what's going to work for you. Some people can't get around with their community in that they don't know, they don't trust people in that. So that's going to be harder for them. It's going to be more limited to them. But you have to find out, even if all you do is talk to your doctor, say, okay, this is my first time. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm kind of scared. What do I do? If the baby starts to cry, I have a couple ideas of what I could do, but what do I do if this doesn't work? And again, just ask for the help. Anybody you see, just ask them. I'm sure if you walk down the street or your neighbor next door, and you say, I need a minute, can you come help me? They will say, okay. And they'll sit on the front porch with your child or whatever, just so you can have that minute to get your bearings. Like I said, unfortunately, though, there's no straight across the board answer for this. You have to do the research.
I think, and again, this is opinion. This isn't science. It's not fact. It is opinion. But I think one of the things, that a lot of people kind of forget is that a baby, like an animal, like everything else, can feel the stress of mom and dad. And that could be one of the starters of all this. If mom and dad is really stressed out, the baby is just going to be like going, oh my God, what the hell's wrong with them? This isn't the person I know. This isn't the person I love. And stress brings on stress.
It does. And what a lot of people don't realize is the only reason a baby is crying is because that's all they know how to do. That's their natural instinct, is to cry, because they don't have language skills. So they cry, and then it's up to us to figure out what they need, what they want, which is frustrating on our end because we don't always have those answers.
Right. And the one thing that people really need to realize is that if one of the bad things about Shaken Baby, one of the bad results is, there's a potential that, you shake your baby because of frustration, you hurt your baby, and that baby may never be able to talk. And then that's just going to compound. It's just going to continue. So like she's saying, you've got to reach out to other people. One of the things that I wanted to talk to you about real quick was they spent very little time when we went through the fostering programs. They spent very little time on Shaken Baby syndrome. And I think that is, looking back on it now, and especially now, I think it's a little, I think that's a little short-sighted of them, because this is such a serious problem. We've got friends like our mutual friend who was taken in and in creating a safe harbor for Shaken Baby. That's how we originally met. But there was very little that was mentioned about that. I know that there are programs out there for foster parents who are going through stressful times. So please look up newborn groups. Look, let's look on Facebook, and I'll guarantee you can find newborn parents, and all these other things that you can.
There's a lot of groups on Facebook for moms, or it's geared towards moms. But in my experience, if a dad really wanted to, he could get into the group too, to, say, okay, mom's not really in the picture. I'm doing this on my own. I need some help too. And you know what? You're going to be looked at as, okay, we applaud you for stepping up and taking that initiative. We will let you join. We will, help you on this journey too. And that there's a lot of Facebook groups that are there for new parents. There's some that are specific for the area. There are some that are just all over the place. So do look on Facebook, because Facebook has a lot of support groups for new moms, for new families, and the whole bit. I don't want to say it's a great source, because it is the internet, but you will find some support groups there.
Yeah, and this, I like speaking to the guys on this because, I kind of know something about being a guy, kind of. I'm a terrible guy, but I know a little bit about it. But guys, this is another thing. If you've got a buddy that comes to you and asks you these questions, please don't joke around with this one. Don't sit there and go, look at this, you can't handle it. Look, we're talking about a child that could be in danger here if you don't sit there and take this real. As guys, we have a tendency to take a moment of weakness and turn it into a joke. This is not a joke. This is one of those things we cannot joke about, because we may think it's funny. We may think that, I got this guy. This guy's sitting there really struggling. So guys, you got to, this is not a time to joke around. Let's really help people. Darcia, I got one more for you. And this is this was an online question. Do you have a current a goal in mind? If we put it 1 year today, okay, what would you guys like to see happen with your program?
Oh, that's such a hard question. 1 year from today, I think our biggest goal, in all honesty, is to be able to have the most effect is to help as many families as we can. And we do a fairly good job at that in the support group for providing, like you said, the mental support. I would like to be able to see us help maybe 5 families get something big, or some kind of monetary stipend to help them reach a goal, even if it's just to say like make a repair on their van so they could get the child to and from appointments or out into the community or something like that. If we can help 5 families with something like that to make transportation a little bit easier, or to make daily care easier for the child, I think that would be wonderful. But again, we can't do it on our own. We are doing a lot, and we are so grateful for.
We lost her again real quick, but while her internet is reconnecting, I do want to remind you guys that this right here, this code, if you purchase wine this month using this code here, you will be supporting Stop Shaking Baby. A portion of that will go to the mission, and it will help them with what they're doing. As Darcia had mentioned, they've got things like trying to buy equipment and other things. I know for a fact, I have been I have seen firsthand some of the great things that they do with resources, with help, with counseling. It's such a wonderful, wonderful program. And I want you to make sure that you understand, if you go to stopshakenbabysyndrome.org, or sorry, stopshakenbabysyndromeinc.org. If you go there, you will find, first off, the first thing that you're going to see is a bunch of beautiful, beautiful children who are on here that you know, they've been shaken. They've been shaken. They've been hurt. But this shows that, oh, look at my non-shaken baby here. All right, we're being joined again by Darcia. So, but yeah, if you go onto the website, you can see the pictures of some of these wonderful, wonderful kids that have survived. But you got to remember, they're not all success stories. It's an unfortunate fact. So please, 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 Shaken Baby Syndrome Inc.org. Go and visit it. Look around, support them, buy your holiday wine, and you can support everything that they are doing. Sorry about the technical difficulties there, Darcia. I'm so glad that you were able to join us again. But do they? One of the other questions that was asked real quick, and I think this one's a really interesting question because it's something that you would never really think of. Professionals who deal with shaken baby syndrome. Do you guys have a place where you can go and talk to each other? Because I know for a fact that when we get to a situation where we've got somebody that we really, really want to help, and we know we can't do everything that everything that they need, I know how hard that is on us. What do you guys do in a situation like that? Because you have your why for being in this is tragic.
Yes.
You guys have a resource that you guys can go to when you are feeling like, oh my God, I can't believe we can't do anything?
In the professional aspect, there are support groups for nonprofits all over the internet. We can reach out to them. For the personal aspect of me being here, because it's my life, I am directly affected by it. I have other board members I can talk to that understand. I have the support groups which I run that I can reach out and talk to the people in there about. But generally speaking, with this nonprofit, and that there's not as many nonprofits out there for it, so there's not many people that understand the reason that we do what we do. But I think in the long term, in that there's enough of support through the community, and that if I had a problem, and that I couldn't reach out to certain people within the community and say, listen, this is how I'm feeling. Help me out. Let's talk this through, and we'd be okay. I mean, I think we do a good job keeping our own mental health on an even keel within the nonprofit world. It's hard. Don't get me wrong. We all have our good days and our bad days, and some days are really, really bad. But we keep pushing because we have to, because we are one of I think we are the only nonprofit for Shaken Baby.
Okay. It looks like we've lost her again for hopefully just her. Oh, here she is. Okay, great.
You know, most nonprofits for Shaken Baby are about education and lobbying for need. Don't get me wrong, we need that. But there's not, as far as I know, we're the only ones that offer to support the families.
Well,
so
Darcia, I want
to our world.
I want to thank you so very much for joining us, and I want you to. I personally just want to say thank you for everything that you guys are doing. I know how passionate you are. If anybody wants to hear Darcia's story on her why, please visit our first show. She talks about it a little bit. It's very, like I said, it's heart-wrenching, and but Shaken Baby this is not something that has to happen, okay? And the other thing is that you may not think that you're hurting the child, but you need to remember the smallest jolt. Look, you're talking about something that's even more fragile than an egg here. So the smallest jolt can do a lot of damage. So please visit Stop Shaken Baby Syndrome Inc.org. Parents, if you have any questions, please reach out to Darcia. Darcia, how do they get a hold of you? We're having a little bit of a delay, it looks like. Darcia, how do they get a hold of you? Okay.
Or if you want, you can email me at stopsbs1. Stop SBS1.
Okay, so stop SBS1.
I'm putting the chat here for you. Stop.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, and then we'll just put it in there. But I want to thank you very much for what you're doing.
And then on Facebook, it's
okay. So right here, and again, we're very sorry about the connections. Got to remember there are weather issues out there. But right here is the email if you want to get a hold of her in this way. And then on Facebook, you just go to Stop Shaken Baby Syndrome. Give them a like, give them a follow. Check out everything that they're suggesting. There's great, you can probably find some other parents who've gone through some of the things that you're going through. So if you need help, that's a great place to start. Darcia, thank you very much. I look forward to working with you guys a lot more, hopefully here in the very near future. But please, from us to you, Keep up the great work, and let's stop shaken baby syndrome. Thank you very much. So again, apologize for the difficulty with the connection, but I hope that you guys really did get the importance of what shaken baby syndrome can do. The children that I know, personally know, they're beautiful. They are beautiful kids, but they're damaged because of mistakes that were made. And these, of course, are mistakes that, you know, didn't have to be made. I think that one of the most important things in that interview is talking about how you can put the child down and walk away. Child's not going to get hurt. They're in a crib, they're secure. Put the child down, walk away. Dads, I remember once with my oldest son sitting there holding this young child and holding him up in the air and going, why, what is wrong? What are we doing wrong? And I'm talking this little motion, but you need to remember, it's a fragile, fragile, fragile body. I talk a lot about things that we need to really, really think about what we do. Folks, I talk a lot about these things because it's the stupid stuff that I used to do. These are stupid mistakes I used to make. I made that mistake one night by just picking him up and going, why won't he stop crying? What are we doing wrong? One night. And I deal with that every night. Every day I deal with that because I know I could have hurt my son. And especially when I look at these other children. The recording was difficult, but I want to thank Darcia for joining with us. Darcia Phillips from Stop Shaking Baby. It's heartbreaking seeing what happens to these children. You can support them through Community Pay It Forward by scanning this QR code. Scan that QR code, shop with any of our partners, and a portion of your sale will go to them. Also, as it's saying down there in the corner, or on the scroll, although Stop Shaking Baby was last November, and that was so funny, I didn't plan this. I promise you, I didn't plan it. But last November was the Stop Shaking Baby campaign. You can still support them by contacting the Goddess of the Grape, Steph Samos, and all you got to do is go to her Linktree /Steph Samos. You can always support these great causes that we have worked with before. If you have any questions, reach out to me. You can call me or send me a text at 970-909-0751, 970-909-0751. I want to thank you all so much for watching this pACT special edition. I want to thank Darcia Phillips, and I want to thank Ricky Birkenstock for being fantastic guests. Folks, we're in a fight now for our humanity. Let's come together. Let's help each other. I'm having a grandbaby today. Let's fight to make this a better world. For our kids. For us. We're not dead yet. So let's fight to make it a better place for us. Be sure to love somebody out there, because somebody out here loves you. Please, please make sure you remember, if you're not helping someone, you're hurting everyone. Register today for the chili cook-off and poker for pediatrics. If you would like to join us in a sponsorship form, we need your help. We need your help. Next week, I will be talking to you about the 22-hour community to rescue or to save 22, the 22-hour podcast. Let's and we will have Jeff and Stephanie from Hydro with Hope and the Aziza Project on the show, the second half of the wine show. And actually sorry about this, the show about the show for the community mission to rescue 22, that is in 2 weeks. So right before Thanksgiving Day. I thank you very much for joining us. Please, please, please remember, if you're not helping someone, you're hurting everyone. Nobody has to go it alone when we all come together. Look, love somebody, take care of each other, because damn it, we're all we got. All right. None of us are worth throwing away. We're all worth helping. Please join us next week as we work to support more people, to do more things, and to make this a better place. My name is Zach Clayton, Community Pay It Forward, Community Dare to Care, and the PACT channels. Thank you. Good day.
Stepping out of her fear, bring me home. Out alone to show me the way. You wanna be a part of Sunset Boulevard.